Ah, OK. Sammy, it certainly was open. It was a super Sunday in every way, wasn't it, for the neutral? But how much did Tottenham really need to take control in that second half?
Well, they had perfect control at half-time, but if you look at the numbers, they really threw the game away in the second half. One of the reasons was they just kept stop winning the duels. If you have a look, the duels success percentage rate went down. That's because their tackle success rate went by half. They stopped tackling, which was completely bizarre given how successful they were in the first half. Now, have a look at this. Tottenham had roughly the same amount of possession in that second half as they did in the first half, but look at what they did with it. They gave the ball away 23 more times in the second half than they did in the first. They lost the ball nearly twice as much in the middle third. Now, that's not just the midfielders, that's the defenders as well, because they play that high line. And as a result of all that, the XG nearly doubled in the second half compared to the first half. So actually, if you look at the numbers, no wonder Brighton got back into that game.
Wow, so Spurs down in 9th place now in the Premier League, 8 points off leaders Liverpool. Ange Postecoglou says he always wins trophies in his second season, though. So I'm guessing it's down to the cup competitions now. Is that the main target?
Well, it's a shame because we look at Spurs' recent run, they actually were on a pretty good run. They had won their last 4 games in a row, and you think about how Tottenham started last season, when they got off to a really good start, was the same thing happening again. So that was a real sucker punch, that loss to Brighton. Now, if you look at the games coming up, the cup games coming up, because the Premier League now seems a little bit out of reach for Tottenham in terms of a trophy. And as, of course, we know, Ange Postecoglou has said he always wins trophies in his second season. So which of the cup games can he really target? Well, Man City at home in the EFL Cup, that's a bit of a sucker punch. City say they're resting players, but City will have eyes on that as well. So the Europa League is actually quite a winnable competition. The bookies actually have Spurs as favourites to win the whole competition. And remember, no teams dropped down from the Champions League into the Europa League this season, so that boosts Tottenham's credentials. But if you look at these games here, if they can just get these wins against Alkmaar, Galatasaray, Roma and Rangers, which are the difficult ones, they can really rest players at the latter end of this league phase in the Europa League. So I think the Europa League is now probably Spurs' best chance of a winnable competition.
OK, very quickly, one positive for Postecoglou, the form of Brennan Johnson after a tough start to the season. What's happened?
Well, he's in and amongst the goals, isn't he? If you have a look, 6 goals in his last 6 games against a very different range of opponents as well in the Europa League and the Premier League. But what you do have is that these last 2 goals, well, actually the stats are pretty good as well. He's, top scorer for Spurs this season. James Maddison is second best to him in terms of shots. He's also getting good high-quality chances as well, getting the ball in the box, and he's pressing the ball high up the pitch, which, of course, we know what Ange Postecoglou likes to do. So, yeah, it's a really good form for Brennan Johnson at the moment.
Yeah, which is good to see after he got some criticism, didn't he, after the North London derby. So good for him to have turned that one around.